a WikiVidi documentaries production. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Enjoy. Chariots of Fire. Chariots of Fire is a 1981 British historical drama film. It tells the fact-based story of two athletes in the 1924 Olympics, Eric Liddell, a devout Scottish Christian who runs for the glory of God, and Harold Abrahams, an English Jew who runs to overcome prejudice. The film was conceived and produced by David Puttnam, written by Colin Welland, and directed by Hugh Hudson. Cross and Ian Charleson starred as Abrahams and Liddell, alongside Nicholas Farrell, Nigel Havers, Ian Holm, Lindsay Anderson, John Gielgud, Cheryl Campbell, and Alice Krige in supporting roles. It was nominated for 7 Academy Awards and won 4, including Best Picture and Best Original Screenplay. It is ranked 19th in the British Film Institute's list of top 100 British films. The film is also notable for its memorable electronic theme tune by Vangelis, who won the Academy Award for Best Original Score. The film's title was inspired by the line, "Bring me my chariot of fire," from the William Blake poem adapted into the popular British hymn, Jerusalem. The hymn is heard at the end of the film. The original phrase, "Chariot of Fire," is from 2 Kings 2:11 and 6:17 in the Bible. Plot. In 1919, Harold Abrahams enters the University of Cambridge, where he experiences anti-Semitism from the staff, but enjoys participating in the Gilbert and Sullivan Club. He becomes the first person to ever complete the Trinity Great Court Run, running around the college courtyard in the time it takes for the clock to strike 12. Abrahams achieves an undefeated string of victories in various national running competitions. Although focused on his running, he falls in love with a leading Gilbert and Sullivan soprano, Sybil. Eric Liddell, born in China of Scottish missionary parents, is in Scotland. His devout sister Jenny disapproves of Liddell's plans to pursue competitive running, but Liddell sees running as a way of glorifying God before returning to China to work as a missionary. When they first race against each other, Liddell beats Abrahams. Abrahams takes it poorly, but Sam Musabini, a professional trainer whom he had approached earlier, offers to take him on to improve his technique. This attracts criticism from the Cambridge College masters, who allege it is not gentlemanly for an amateur to play the tradesman by employing a professional coach. Abrahams dismisses this concern, interpreting it as cover for anti-Semitic and class-based prejudice. When Eric Liddell accidentally misses a church prayer meeting because of his running, his sister Jenny upbraids him and accuses him of no longer caring about God. Eric tells her that though he intends to eventually return to the China mission, he feels divinely inspired when running, and that not to run would be to dishonor God, saying, "I believe that God made me for a purpose, but he also made me fast, and when I run, I feel his pleasure." The two athletes, after years of training and racing, are accepted to represent Great Britain in the 1924 Olympics in Paris. Also accepted are Abraham's Cambridge friends, Lord Andrew Lindsay, Aubrey Montague, and Henry Stallard. While boarding the boat to Paris for the Olympics, Liddell learns the news that the heat for his 100-meter race will be on a Sunday. He refuses to run the race despite strong pressure from the Prince of Wales and the British Olympic Committee, because his Christian convictions prevent him from running on the Sabbath. Hope appears when Liddell's teammate Lindsay, having already won a silver medal in the 400 meters hurdles, proposes to yield his place in the 400-meter race on the following Thursday to Liddell, who gratefully agrees. His religious convictions in the face of national athletic pride make headlines around the world. Liddell delivers a sermon at the Paris Church of Scotland that Sunday, and quotes from Isaiah 40, ending with, "But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run, and not be weary. And they shall walk, and not faint." Abrahams is badly beaten by the heavily favored United States runners in the 200-meter race. He knows his last chance for a medal will be the 100 meters. He competes in the race, and wins. His coach Sam Musabini is overcome that the years of dedication and training have paid off with an Olympic gold medal. Now Abrahams can get on with his life and reunite with his girlfriend Sybil, whom he had neglected for the sake of running. Before Liddell's race, the American coach remarks dismissively to his runners that Liddell has little chance of doing well in his now far longer 400-meter race. but one of the American runners, Jackson Schultz, hands Liddell a note of support for his convictions. Liddell defeats the American favorites and wins the gold medal. The British team returns home triumphant. As the film ends, on-screen text explains that Abrahams married Sybil and became the elder statesman of British athletics. Liddell went on to missionary work in China. All of Scotland mourned his death in 1945 in Japanese-occupied China. Characters. The film depicts Abrahams as attending Gonville and Keyes College, Cambridge, with three other Olympic athletes, Henry Stallard, Aubrey Montague, and Lord Andrew Lindsay. Abrahams and Stallard were in fact students there and competed in the 1924 Olympics. Montague also competed in the Olympics as depicted, but he attended Oxford, not Cambridge. Aubrey Montague sent daily letters to his mother about his time at Oxford and the Olympics. These letters were the basis of Montague's narration in the film. The character of Lindsay was based partially on Lord Burleigh, a significant figure in the history of British athletics. Although Burleigh did attend Cambridge, he was not a contemporary of Harold Abrahams, as Abrahams was an undergraduate from 1919 to 1923, and Burleigh was at Cambridge from 1923 to 1927. One scene in the film depicts the Burleigh-based Lindsay as practicing hurdles on his estate, with full champagne glasses placed on each hurdle. This was something the wealthy Burleigh did, although he used matchboxes instead of champagne glasses. The fictional character of Lindsay was created when Douglas Lowe, who was Britain's third athletics gold medalist in the 1924 Olympics, was not willing to be involved with the film. Another scene in the film recreates the Great Court Run, in which the runners attempt to run around the perimeter of the Great Court at Trinity College, Cambridge, in the time it takes the clock to strike 12 at midday. The film shows Abrahams performing the feat for the first time in history. In fact, Abrahams never attempted this race, and at the time of filming the only person on record known to have succeeded was Lord Burleigh, in 1927. In Chariots of Fire, Lindsay, who is based on Lord Burleigh, runs the Great Court Run with Abrahams in order to spur him on, and crosses the finish line just a moment too late. Since the film's release, the Great Court Run has also been successfully run by Trinity undergraduate Sam Dobbing, in October 2007. In the film, Eric Liddell is tripped up by a Frenchman in the 400-meter event of a Scotland-France international athletic meeting. He recovers, makes up a 20-meter deficit, and wins. This was based on fact. The actual race was the 440 yards at a triangular contest meet between Scotland, England, and Ireland, at Stoke-on-Trent in England in July 1923. His achievement was remarkable as he had already won the 100 and 220-yard events that day. Also unmentioned with regard to Liddell is that it was he who introduced Abrahams to Sam Mussabini. This is alluded to in the film. Abrahams first encounters Mussabini while he is watching Liddell race. The film, however, suggests that Abrahams himself sought Mussabini's assistance. Abrahams and Liddell did race against each other once, but not quite as depicted in the film, which shows Liddell winning the final of the 100 yards against a shattered Abrahams at the 1923 AAA Championship at Stamford Bridge. In fact, they raced only in a heat of the 220 yards, which Liddell won, 5 yards ahead of Abrahams, who did not progress to the final. In the 100 yards, Abrahams was eliminated in the heats and never raced against Liddell, who won the finals of both races the next day. Abrahams' fiancée is misidentified as Sybil Gordon, a soprano, at the D'Oyly Carte Opera Company. In fact, in 1936, Abrahams married Sybil Evers, who sang at the D'Oyly Carte, but they did not meet until 1934. Also, in the film, Sybil is depicted as singing the role of Yum Yum in The Mikado, but neither Sybil Gordon nor Sybil Evers ever sang that role with D'Oyly Carte, although Evers was known for her charm in singing Peep-Bo, one of the two other Little Maids from School. Harold Abrahams' love of and heavy involvement with Gilbert and Sullivan, as depicted in the film, is factual. Liddell's sister was several years younger than she was portrayed in the film. Her disapproval of Liddell's track career was creative license. She actually fully supported his sporting work. Jenny Liddell Somerville cooperated fully with the making of the film, and has a brief cameo in the Paris Church of Scotland during Liddell's sermon at the memorial service for Harold Abrahams, which opens the film. Lord Lindsay mentions that he and Aubrey Montague were the only members of the 1924 Olympic team still alive. However, Montague died in 1948, 30 years before Abraham's death. 1924 Olympics. The film takes some liberties with the events at the 1924 Olympics, including the event surrounding Liddell's refusal to race on a Sunday. In the film, he doesn't learn that the 100-meter heat is to be held on the Christian Sabbath until he is boarding the boat to Paris. In fact, the schedule was made public several months in advance. Liddell did, however, face immense pressure to run on that Sunday and to compete in the 100 meters, getting called before a grilling by the British Olympic Committee, the Prince of Wales, and other grandees, and his refusal to run made headlines around the world. The decision to change races was, even so, made well before embarking to Paris, and Liddell spent the intervening months training for the 400 meters, an event in which he had previously excelled. It is true, nonetheless, that Liddell's success in the Olympic 400 meters was largely unexpected. The film depicts Lindsay, having already won a medal in the 400-meter hurdles, giving up his place in the 400-meter race for Liddell. In fact, Burley, on whom Lindsay is loosely based, was eliminated in the heats of the 110 hurdles, and was not entered for the 400 meters. The film reverses the order of Abraham's 100 meters and 200 meters races at the Olympics. In reality, after winning the 100 meters race, Abrahams ran the 200 meters, but finished last, Jackson Scholz taking the gold medal. In the film, before his triumph in the 100 meters, Abrahams is shown losing the 200 meters and being scolded by Musabini, and during the following scene in which Abrahams speaks with his friend Montague while receiving a massage from Musabini, there is a French newspaper clipping showing Scholz and Charlie Paddock with a headline which states that the 200 meters was a triumph for the United States. In the same conversation, Abrahams laments getting beaten out of sight in the 200. The film thus has Abrahams overcoming the disappointment of losing the 200 by going on to win the 100, a reversal of the real order. Eric Liddell actually also ran in the 200 meters race, and finished third, behind Paddock and Scholz. This was the only time in reality that Liddell and Abrahams competed in the same race. Their meeting in the 1923 AAA Championship in the film was fictitious, though Liddell's record win in that race did spur Abrahams to train even harder. Abrahams also won a silver medal as an opening runner for the 4x100 meters relay team, not shown in the film. Aubrey Montague placed 6th in the steeplechase, as depicted. Personal inaccuracies at the Olympics. In the film, the 100 meters bronze medalist is a character called Tom Watson. The real medalist was Arthur Porritt of New Zealand, who refused permission for his name to be used in the film, allegedly out of modesty. His wish was accepted by the film's producers, even though his permission was not necessary. However, the brief backstory given for Watson, who is called up to the New Zealand team from the University of Oxford, substantially matches Porritt's history. With the exception of Porritt, all the runners in the 100 meters final are identified correctly when they line up for inspection by the Prince of Wales. Jackson Scholz is depicted as handing Liddell an inspirational Bible quotation message before the 400 meters final. It says in the good book, "He that honors me, I will honor. Good luck." In reality, the note was from members of the British team, and was handed to Liddell before the race by his attending masseur at the team's Paris hotel. For dramatic purposes, screenwriter Welland asked Scholz if he could be depicted handing the note, and Scholz readily agreed, saying, "Yes, great. As long as it makes me look good." Brought to you by WikiVidi Documentaries. Would you like to know more?